Hey, everyone, and welcome to the World of Travel podcast. You know, our series explores the past, present, and future of locations around the globe and the people who make those locations special. And today we have a really special guest, somebody who I admire, named Trell Thomas. You probably know him best as an entrepreneur, but also the founder and creator of the Black Excellence Brunch. And this is no regular brunch. Trell has had lunches and beautiful events at the White House, all over the world, and not just in the US, and really tries to uplift and talk about and highlight causes that really matter to him. So Trell, welcome to World of Travel. You're one of our first guests, and we're really excited to have you.
What an honor. Thank you for having me. First guest, that's a lot of pressure.
So we're so excited that you're here, and we focus on travel and highlight a lot of that stuff. So I'm gonna let Kolyn take it away because I'm always hijacking the conversation. You know, when you're in a relationship, somebody speaks too much, and that's usually me. So Kolyn can ask you the first question.
Hey, Trey, how's it going?
Hey, Colin, what's up, man? Listen, I love this. Whatever you got going on right here, whenever you're done with it, send it to me. I'll give you my address.
I got
Okay.
you. I got you. I got you. So look, I did a little research on you. I wasn't aware, all the things you have going on, and the Sunday brunch. I really like that the fact that you bringing people in and just bringing them into your like it's like being at your mom's house or your grandma's house. I thought that was extremely fine. That's how I like people make people feel comfortable as well. So hopefully you feel comfortable on at my grandma's house today. Anyway, I had a question for you. Can you tell me where you're originally from?
Yeah, originally I'm from South Carolina, a very small town called Cassett, South Carolina, that you probably never heard of before. It's one of those one stoplight towns. But yeah, that's where I grew up, in the Piedmont area or the center of South Carolina.
I was trying to figure out how to say, I was going to say cassette, but I was just going to broadly say you're from South Carolina because I want to make sure that I got it right. But how did that kind of impact you? Like a lot of people see all that you're doing and it is reaching and having global impacts, even as far as Africa, somewhere that we went or go for season 2 of World of Travel. Like, how did somebody from a small town in South Carolina with big dreams kind of make it? A lot of people want to know about that transition and how it goes from ideation to actually fulfillment.
Yeah, I feel like even as a kid, my mom would tell me stories. I've always thought bigger than my circumstance, so I would see things and, where instead of saying like, oh, that's nice, like of something that I see on TV or a place that I see, I'd be like, oh yeah, I can't wait to go there. Or, so it was always forward thinking. And then, it funny enough, something that was inspiring to me, and we would ride past it almost every day. There was a sign. So James Brown is from Camden, South Carolina, which is right next to Cassett, South Carolina, and we would pass this sign that said, home of James Brown every single day, and I just thought, like, what a massive personality, what a massive artist. And if he can do it, I can do it. Larry Doby is another one, amazing baseball player, also from that area. So I just would pull inspiration from probably everything. But honestly, the biggest inspiration in making change is I always wanted to make my family proud. I watched my mother work and work and work. I watched my grandmother, I watched my father, like really just work. And I thought to myself, like, I want to make them proud. I want this work that they're doing to not be in vain. And so I think that's probably been my biggest motivating factor. And I'm pausing as I'm talking because I don't know that I've ever said that out loud, but I watching them made me want to uh just ensure that that work wasn't in vain.
No, that's amazing. I feel the exact same way. I don't know if you know, I'm from a small town myself. I'm from a place called Beaumont, Texas, way down
Oh,
hour outside of
yeah.
Houston. You know Beaumont?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been there, but I've heard of it.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Same here. People always ask me like, how do you feel to be doing all these things coming from a small town? And I feel the exact same way. I mean, I always imagine this for myself and seeing people like your role models. Mine was my uncle. I saw my uncle. He lived in Atlanta, but he was from Beaumont, and he had this big old house. And I was like, yo, I could do this too. And it just really put a battery in my back to get me to the point to where I'm at today. I want to ask you, what's your favorite place to travel?
My favorite place to travel. That's such a tough one. I would say so far, some of my favorite places to travel, one of my favorite places has been like being on the continent. Like, I think there is nothing like being, you know, back home in a lot of sense. And I remember from the moment I touched down on the ground in Ghana, I just felt like this warmth and this love. And I don't know that I've ever felt that way going to a place for the first time, you know? Um, but another place that I really loved, and I think I had like a eat, pray, love moment there was London. I
Okay.
think yeah, I love London a lot. Like I really it was my first time doing solo travel, and I think that on that trip I discovered a lot about myself, so it has a very special place in my heart.
I want to talk about London a lot because, that's the episode that we just aired right before this podcast. But Colin also spent a solo trip kind of by accident in London. My friend had a baby shower. We were doing some filming for World of Travel out there. And I'm like, okay, I can't miss this baby shower. I might get like excommunicated from the friend group. So you got to handle the rest of the episode on your own. And I'm thinking I left him with this burden and stress. And when I tell you I was on his Instagram, like, bring your back, he was literally like, so much so, and I want you guys to compare notes, because so much so that we went back to London afterwards, and we're walking down the street, and a barber comes, hangs her head out the window, and was like, Colin, in London. She's
Yup,
like, Colin, like,
right.
how do you know her? How do you know her? So please tell me what happened, because I still don't know if I have the whole story. He had too much of a good time in London.
I mean, a man need a haircut. How else can I explain it? I like to get a haircut everywhere I go. So anytime I go to a place, I'm looking for somebody to do my hair or give me a haircut. So I found a good barber.
But you
And
had like an
when you
affinity
spend
to the
time,
place.
when you spend time with a barber, you talk to him for an hour. You talk to
Yeah,
him.
that's a very intimate time where, you discover, you learn a lot about people. I feel like you don't really forget unless you're just getting a quick like
Right.
1-2 kind of thing. Yeah, we get into deep conversation.
Come on, my barbers know about it all. They know exactly, know exactly how. So I want to look. Trell. Let's get into your London trip. I want to hear about what you did, and then I kind of get into some of the stuff that I did while I was in London. What really like drew you in, and where you was like, yo, London a spot.
Okay, so let me give you the backstory, and then it'll inform like how this trip became magical. So I had a trip planned, because I there was a thing for a while, like every year on my birthday, I would do a trip out of the country. So I had this trip planned for a while. The original trip fell through, and I was very sad, like because I felt like I had failed myself, and I wasn't gonna get to do this thing that I had promised myself years ago. Like every year, Trey, you're gonna take a trip. So I wasn't taking that other trip, and I was just laying in the bed like 16 hours before my birthday. So this is maybe like 8 p.m. Well, I mean less than 16 hours if you're doing the 12 a.m. thing, but you know what I mean. Like it
Right,
was
right.
Yeah.
before the next day.
Yeah.
And
Birthday
I'm
right
laying in my
is right
bed and
there.
I'm down. And I get on a a flight website. I think it was like Expedia or something. I'm scrolling and I'm like, "Ooh, I found a trip to London. I found a flight." I just booked the flight. I didn't know. I had never been. I didn't know like anything about anything. I didn't know what neighborhoods or what. I just booked the flight. Now, mind you, I didn't even book the hotel yet. I just booked the flight.
Oh my
The
God,
flight
so
was
ahead.
like in 5 hours. I got on the flight and on the runway, I'm like trying to find a hotel, trying to read about like different neighborhoods and everything like that to make sure that I was staying in the right place or a place that was kind of central. And flight takes off. I didn't book like the hotel yet. We land in London. My phone switches over, and then I book a hotel on the runway in London. So when I finally get to the hotel, I ended up staying in South Kensington, which is
Okay.
a
Oh
very
yeah.
nice
Yeah.
area. I ended up staying there, and y'all, I just every day I made it up. You know, my priority was always food, so I found a place I like. I really loved Harry Potter, so I went and saw like the Harry Potter stuff. I read all the Harry Potter books. I saw the movies, so that was one of the highlights for me. I went to Paddington Square. I just did everything. I went shopping
Mm.
at Harold's, Harrods.
Yeah,
So
Harrods.
I did it all, y'all. I had like midday tea. I did all the things.
Yeah. Let's get
And
into
it was a
here.
time of life. And every day I was making it up.
Yeah.
Well, your favorite is Selfridges. That's the one that you love, the department store.
I like Harris too.
Oh, you like Harris
Yeah,
too?
Harris is really fun. Harris had that. Did you see the Prada? What was the? It's like a Prada tea shop over there.
They turned it into a cafe, and they like
Yes.
Prada stamped the
Yep.
pastries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it all, y'all. Like,
That's well, I'm actually
man, I get feelings thinking about it.
I've had it on my mind to do a solo trip, so that's like inspirational that you booked it that day. I mean, it's a little harder with a 4-year-old and a family to be like, yo, I booked a flight right now, but I still want to do it. And Kolyn seems like he's been supportive, except he's like, just please just be safe. We need you to come back in one piece. But I think you actually would support it if I just had a little bit of a plan in advance.
Trell, inside edition on Lindsey. She got 2 left feet, so.
So you might want to do a little more mapping it out. But I'm telling you, like, I feel like you discover a lot about yourself. Like, I discovered because I was so used to going on trips with other people, and that often informs like how you move and honestly how you think, And so being by myself and like really having to figure it out on my own, like I discovered a lot. And I feel like that's where I kind of fell in love with Thai food. I went to this place because I thought the outside of it was really nice. Um, and I was like, oh, this is a nice decor. And it was a bar, but in the back of the bar, there was this Thai spot. And everybody that I passed by, and it was like, oh, go eat there. The food is so good. And I ended up meeting these 2 people that were there eating, and they would tell me about their meal. And then I sat with them and we ate Thai food and talked for like 2 hours, and it was so cool.
Okay.
So what was your things about London that you loved, that made your like journey? Because you ended up at you felt you got so many people's numbers and had so many new friends when you left there.
Yeah. For me, I like to stay in East London. I can't think of the name of the town right now, but
Shoreditch.
Shoreditch is my spot. I really love Shoreditch.
It's giving like a Brooklyn vibe. If you've been into that Shoreditch area.
Oh,
Bia shouts it out in her song.
Yep. And I really like getting on the train. And the thing I've always done is people watch. I like to just see the different people from London. And another thing about people in London, I don't know if this is your experience, but my experience was once they find out you're American, they really treat you like so nice. And everybody was just extremely nice to me. Wanted to hear about my stories. I wanted to hear about theirs. So we had really great conversations. So we got into it and we started having good conversations and we exchanged numbers. But I like riding the train, and I rode the train like as far as it could go. Like literally I rode because I was going to a conference. So I rode the train as far as it can go. And I would just get off and do the exact same thing and see what I could just bump into. And I actually went out. Did you go out while you were there?
I've never been like a nightlife kind of person. I think I went to this one bar, but I didn't do as much of the nightlife. Not that trip. I ended up doing eventually because I've been to London several times since then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did everything I did mostly was in a day.
So you mentioned that you found out about yourself, who you are. What are some of those things? Some people probably are watching this and thinking about a solo trip. And I always want to eat, pray, love moment. And I haven't had that come to fruition yet on a trip. So what were the things that you found? Like, does that actually happen? It's not just in the movies?
Yeah, so I found out a lot about my palate, like because I was more willing to try different things and just to pop in shops. So I was like, oh, this time I thought I didn't like that. I do like that. So that was one of the things I discovered. I definitely had these introspective moments. Like, it was also my birthday, so I was, thinking about the things that I had done over the years. And so I had introspective moments of like, oh, Trell, like you thought this was like a painful moment. Really, it was a teachable moment. So those were some of my like discoveries, and I discovered some things about my style. Like people in London have impeccable style, and I just went in the stores and I was just trying things that I wouldn't normally try, and I liked them. And so I learned a lot about like my personal style. Yeah, I think those are some of the things that really stuck out to me. And I remember coming back and people being like, "Trell, you want to go here and eat here?" I'm like, "Yeah," or it's like they would compliment me on how I was dressing, and I have to credit being in London for that. So yeah, those are, I feel like, some of the things that really stick out to me.
I feel like there's a distinct difference between being in London broke, because I studied abroad there, and being in London as an adult that can afford things. Because I probably had some of the worst food experiences of my life when I was in London. That's because all I could afford was whatever burger or pizza spot was on the corner, and fancy dinner would be once in a.
Yeah.
But there's so much, and I thought for like, I think in my early 20s
Why
that there was
why
terrible
were you
food out
broke?
there.
Explain why were you broke?
Why was I broke?
Yeah, what
oh, I
was
was
going
shopping
on?
every day. I had a job in London. I studied abroad and I worked at Merrill Lynch as an
chose to
internship.
put that
I chose
money.
violence. I chose to be broke. But yes, I guess I could have. At that time, you know, when you're a kid, I feel like you accept nonsense. You sleep 4 to a bed. You eat trash as long as you're on the trip. As you get older, first of all, I'm having a good meal. I'm definitely not sharing a room with you. I want to, like, it needs to be comfortable accommodations. The bed can't be trash. Like, there's so
Yeah.
many things that have to happen
Yep.
for me to attend with a group. And even for myself, if you're on a solo trip, you hold yourself to a standard. Like, I'm sure you want to be comfortable, eat good, have a budget to do both.
Yeah, I think that's a life hack that I didn't think about either. Is you know, when you shop overseas, nobody's gonna have that on. You know, when you get back with that
No.
drill, yeah, nobody's gonna have that. Like, where you got that from? And I'm like, you know, yeah, London. You know, but yeah, when I went in there, like,
You're petty.
right, yeah, but yeah, that's something that I like. You're not gonna see anybody else in that drip. It's like getting shopping in different places and bringing stuff back. And that's one thing I do. I like to do. Like, we went to South Africa, and there's a brand called Max Hosa. You ever heard of them?
They say
No.
like Max,
Oh, okay.
Max, they do that Max Oster. I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a South African brand that's really popular.
Yeah, but I brought these pants back, and I really love these pants. So now everywhere I go, I like try and bring an item back that reminds me of the time. Do you have an item like that you put it on like, yo, this is like how I felt when I was in London that day, or I remember when I was shopping in London?
Yeah, you know, the jacket is no longer with me, but there was this jacket, and I've been trying to, because I accidentally left it on a plane. I was flying from someplace cold to someplace warm,
Yeah.
and I took it off, and I just forgot to take it with me. But it probably was time for that jacket to go, because I wore that jacket. I lived in New York before moving to LA, and you know, New York all black is the thing, and I found this trench in London that didn't have the regular collar that, you know, the trenches have.
Yeah.
And man, I wore that and wore that and wore that, and I would get so many compliments on it. So much so that I have like a dupe of it now that I ended up getting from like one of these fast fashion brands.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that trench coat, and I wore that thing
Ma-
all winter, all fall. Like it was great. Yeah.
R.I.P. man to the trench coat. Man.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I know you're thinking about it. So I want to ask you.
Opened a wound.
I know. Like, he's
man.
like, why you even ask me about that? I want to ask you about Thailand. I know we've both been there. We haven't been there for World of Travel, but you had some great experiences in Thailand, and you particularly had an experience with the elephants and, you know, going to the sanctuary. Now, we know it's really not a good thing to ride the elephant's back. They tell you not to do that when
Right.
you're there. A lot of people still do it on Instagram, but it's not good for the animals or for the people there working in the sanctuary. So you decided to go to a sanctuary, but I know a funny story that you want to share about the experience there. So tell people what to
man.
expect in
Wanna
Thailand.
share? Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for saying that. You know, I'm a big a proponent of wildlife, and I love animals, and I think that it's important to note that when we're traveling, we should try to avoid like some of those attractions that are really popular, like elephant riding and all those things, because a lot of times those animals are put in situations that are less than great. You know, I'll say that. So I had mapped that out and said, okay, we're going to do an elephant sanctuary, because elephant sanctuaries are where they rehabilitate elephants that have been mistreated, or they rescue elephants, or you know, they are really a catch-all for elephants that have had hard lives, you know? And so I was like, ooh, and it was great. It started off wonderful, and it ended wonderful too. But there was a portion of the experience, you know, you get to spend quality time with the elephants. You feed them, you just hang out with them. They're naturally roaming around, so it's not like they're in a cage or anything like that. And there was a part of it where they're like, okay, we're gonna go for a walk and we're gonna swim with the elephants. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. So we're like walking down the path. I've got a friend elephant at this point. Like he was hanging around me, I was hanging around him. So we're walking down the path, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go in here. And they were like, yeah, they'll let you bathe them. They bathe each other. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna bathe my friend. And so I'm going in there, and we are having a good time. And they're encouraging you to rub the mud on yourself and rub the mud on the elephants. And I look in my peripheral, and there's an elephant full on number two, like 3 feet away from me. And
Ah,
I look at it like, and then I look down at the mud in my hand, what I thought was mud. I'm like, this is very similar to what I'm seeing. And so I may or may not have been rubbing mud, elephant dung all over myself and the other elephants. And I ended up asking, and they were like, yeah, it's definitely elephant poop in here.
oh my
They were
God.
Like it
very
was going.
regular about it.
They
Colin almost passed out
were
from the
like, oh, you
smell
didn't know?
of
No, I
horse
can't do it.
manure
I
in
can't do it.
Central Park. Because you know when you stay by Central Park, all them horses are around in New York City.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is so disgusting. We were staying at a hotel over there. He's like, I'm ready to go somewhere else, another part of Manhattan. So I can't imagine him bathing in it.
Oh yeah, brother. You wouldn't have made. But you know what I would say?
But
It
you couldn't
didn't
smell it? You couldn't
smell
smell
like,
it?
I don't know if it was all the water. It didn't smell. It just smelled like elephants. I don't know what that
You was
means,
caught up in
but
the moment.
it
That's
didn't
what it
smell
was. You
like.
was caught up in the moment. You was
Oh,
caught
I probably
up.
was.
Yo, that's
I probably was.
crazy.
But yeah.
I actually,
But
I used to rub the mud. I did the sanctuary too when I went to Thailand, and I didn't. No one ever had that revelation with me, or at least I didn't catch something happening while I was sitting in the mud. So now, looking back at the pictures, I'm like, oh, we. I know,
definitely.
yeah, I
But
know
you know
what it
what?
is.
Look, the real question is, does
It's
it
probably
help your
good for your
skin?
skin. It's probably good for your
It's
skin or something.
yeah.
I don't know that I've had acne since. So
Right, that's what I
maybe
was about to
something wonderful
say.
happened.
Okay, well there it is. Get your elephant done.
Maybe we should package it up and send
Right. Give
elephant
us a little
for his
sample.
skin.
That's too funny. Okay.
So let's talk about your Black Excellence Brunch. You've done things that
Yeah.
a lot of people can't accomplish. So you organized this brunch that first started as an empowerment for Black men. We can start with the reason why you felt like it needed to be something that honored and looked at, or you organizing Black men at first and then moving that over to honor women in media, women in fashion, women in politics. I mean, you had a brunch on the lawn of the White House. Nobody does that. And
Crazy.
that's an amazing thing to accomplish. So just let people know a little bit about it and what it's all about.
Yeah, so Black Excellence Brunch actually is a rendition of my mom's Sunday dinner. So it is really based around the concept and tradition of Sunday dinner, which in the South and really all over the world, I'm finding is like a big tradition in households. And every Sunday, my mom would host them growing up in our home. And it was one of the first places, honestly, I got to see and feel the joy of being a Black person. And before it was like people see it today and all the luxury and the beauty and the aesthetic, it was in my home. I was just doing it in my home with my friends. We would go to church. I would invite people over as my mom would do. And we would just break bread together and share with one another and uplift one another. And so when I got ready to move to LA, I decided like, oh, I wanted to do a going away kind of thing. And I was like, oh, I'll just take dinners that I've been doing, and I'll have that as my going away. And this time, I invited all my Black and excellent friends, men and women. And I invited all of them to a rooftop in New York. And I asked them to wear all white. They did. And we just shared a meal together. We shared our experiences with one another. We laughed, we cried, like all the things. And I remember we couldn't get 2 feet without people being like, who are you guys? What do you do? You're so beautiful. Like sending us drinks and food and wanting to take pictures of us and with us. And I just looked around and I saw like everybody like smiling a little bit bigger and laughing a little bit heartier. And I just thought like, if I could give us this feeling all the time. And so, I just kept replicating that. Like I moved to LA, I did a welcome to LA thing, same vibes, same reaction from people. And so that was telling me, I think that when you're on your journey of the things that you're meant to do, right? Like your purpose, you'll get all of these breadcrumbs that will remind you, like, oh, you're doing it, you're in it. And those experiences at the beginning, the attention and the love that we were getting, those were my little breadcrumbs of, like, I felt like God was telling me, like, Trell, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You're doing the right thing. Keep doing this. And so after that second time, I was like, okay, there's something special. There's something really special here in the way that it is. And so I just kept doing it, and I remember the first one that had the aesthetic, right? That wasn't in like a restaurant or in like my backyard. It was, I emptied my savings, and I was like, okay, I'm really gonna do this right. I'm gonna, and I learned from being in corporate that if you record, like you should always be recording and taking photos and documenting what you're doing. And so I did that first one with my savings. I documented it, I packaged it up, and the next one that I did, that was when brands started coming. Netflix sponsored for more money than I had ever seen at one time.
Wow.
And from there, the brunch just took off.
Yeah, and that's how you gotta be. You gotta be. That's how the universe works. If you're not all in, that's the
Yeah.
results you're gonna get. And I think by you doing that, that's what you reap what you sow and you get what you give. And so that's amazing.
I
And
tell people that all the time. I'm glad that you said that's one of my biggest talking points when I do like panels and have like conversations with people or do like mentorship. It's like you have to invest in yourself. You can't expect anybody to do anything for you that you're not willing to do for yourself. And when you do it for yourself, when you invest in yourself, you have a lot more respect for it when other people start to do it for you. You know what I mean? Like y'all have kids, so I know my dad was a big proponent of you working and you earning your keep. Like he didn't just give us money. Like we got allowance when allowance was a thing. I don't know if that's still a thing for kids, but we worked up to get the thing that we wanted. You know what I mean? We still got it, right? But it was a different value that it held when you know that you had to put in work for it. And I would watch some of my cousins get something and then be done with it a week later. But for me, when I remember one thing, like I got a Nintendo 64 and I had to work like months to get that Nintendo 64. And when I got it, it was always in a pristine shape. I would wrap my controllers up when it was done. They wasn't all over the place. I really respected that thing because I had to work for it. And I feel like I've taken that into my career and into entrepreneurship as well. It's like I've really invested in things, and so I value them and I treat them like I value them.
right.
And that is why I feel like even in these times, right, that we're in, like there's people are still wanting to partner. They're still being supportive because listen, I am going to always treat this thing like it with the respect that it deserves. And that requires other people to do the same thing.
Yep. And you never know who watching. You got to be ready.
Exactly.
Lindsey Daddy say this all the time. You stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
I think every black dad says that. But also, it's like, so what I think what you, Kolyn, and myself have in common is like we're a mirror of, it's not, even why you had to call it the Black Excellence Brunch, it's not automatic that people, unfortunately, just based on statistics and numbers and history, are going to invest in companies that uplift or shows that uplift black talent. But because it's also not about that, it's just about talented people getting recognized. Or for our show, it's about people traveling. But it's not often that we're intentionally invested into. And so when you pour that money into yourself, now it turns into something where, well, we are making money, so you almost are losing money by not partnering or aligning with a show that has shown residual income like you have with your brunch. You're almost losing by not putting your film on this stage with this brunch, to be honest. So now everybody who's a tastemaker is there acknowledging, watching, and sharing for free about this event. You know what I mean? On behalf of you just celebrating them, because not only do they want to be in proximity of it, but they're also understanding this is worth your time, energy, and all their followers are understanding that as well. And you're kind of trend setting on a way that we haven't seen before.
Oh, thank you. Wow, that was really touching. I 100% agree with you. It has been the fact that like a lot of people have come to me and said, I work with a lot of studios and they'll say like it only makes sense to partner with Black Excellence Brunch and with Trail. And I also think we have to keep in mind that people give to people. So at the end of the day, you have to remember to be a real person. Sometimes you get in these rooms and doing these presentations, and people lose like who they are or their personality because they're trying to impress. You are the impressing part.
Right.
And so I try to remind people that take yourself into the room, because at the end of the day, the sponsorship is going to come from people's connection to you. Yes, what you do, but like seeing what you do and what you stand for through who you are.
Mm-hmm. And I've been watching. You've been looking sharp, so I know they,
Look at his backdrop. Look at his backdrop. Look at all the shoes.
when you have to work clothes and stuff into and this is my office, and it's now a cloffice, I call it, because I had to my stuff in my room was overflowing in the closet, so I had to like create another space. So yeah, I definitely have the inventory, I guess. So I gotta step out.
Absolutely.
But thank you, man.
Trell, I got one last question for you. Where you going in the future? A place you haven't been yet. Where would you like to go? What's on your list?
Man, that I want to do more in the continent. So I want to do more in Africa. I want to. I also I feel like we've talked about London so much. I really want to do something there, and I had some conversations about doing that. So I'm excited about that. And I also want to go more into the sports world in the States. So Super Bowl, Formula One, PGA, like I want to be in those spaces too because we're there,
Yep.
and I want to celebrate us and uplift us in as many spaces as possible. And so I'm always thinking about, okay, like where can I go that people wouldn't expect, or people, would be very excited to like welcome the Black Excellence Brunch in this space. So those are just a few places.
Oh, we're excited. And, we're excited to break bread with you and hopefully meet you in person soon. If you're in DC, I know this is your old stomping ground. Come visit us on set. We'd love to talk more because you are a traveling man with all them boots behind you. We know you're about to hit the ground running. Okay?
But boots are definitely on the ground.
The boots are made for walking. Trell Thomas, thank you so much for joining us and for spending time with us today. You are somebody who is blazing the trail for people like us and other people that are watching you. So just let everybody know where they can follow and how they can support you, and we will see you next time.
For sure. I'm on all social media at Trail World, also at Black Excellence Brunch. You can find me there. And yeah, if you need to reach out, there are ways to reach out via those platforms. But I'm excited to connect with everybody. Thank you all for having me on your show. Continued success to you. And yeah, we'll have to really exchange more stories. So we got to do more traveling so we can talk more.
I know. I feel like a collaboration is coming down the pike. Like we need to be wherever the PGA Tour is, World of Travel. That's like a whole thing. We'll talk about it offline.
Let's do it.
All right.
Thanks, Trell.
All right. Thank you, all.
All right, we did it. Episode 2, World of Travel in the books. Hey, that was a 2-hand.
Oh, 2, okay.
Come on, man. Come on.
All right. No, that was fire. That was good. I enjoyed that. That's really cool. I mean, the fact that he's doing. I did a little, research on him. I didn't even know. This is wild, and the ambiance is beautiful.
Yeah, to go from like his backyard or his mom's house, or doing it for a goodbye party for himself, to just like a global event. I mean, he's done this in Africa, like he said, in Ghana. I believe he's had one in Canada. He's done them all over the States around major events, and have brands reaching out to you to do a brunch that you started to celebrate your goodbye party is like a really big deal. And it kind of like the reason why I wanted to talk to him, because it reminds me so much of our story. For people who don't know, you can tell them why we started World of Travel.
Because Lindsey liked to travel, and I was like, okay, let's film this stuff. Let's put it together. Let's make a way for us to travel and get something out of it. So
Like keep the budget down. I was like throwing on him, let's go to Iceland like a week in advance, and he's like, okay, who's paying for that? But like, so that's kind of how it started. But then it turned into something like he said, you have to take seriously. You got to put your money into, and we ended up spending a whole lot of money. But if you guys know cameras out there, it's gonna turn into a whole camera podcast. FX3s, Sony Red cameras, like top of the line equipment, and we're still growing. I feel like we're always circling it back.
I remember fussing at you talking about Lindsey. You know how good this is. You know how cool this show could be. And you were like, man, I just want to have fun. I just
want to go on a vacation.
I just want to have vacation. So I'm like filming. I'm still rolling. But now she's on board, and you guys see the results because Lindsey's a workhorse.
Yeah, once you give me something to do, I run through the wall. Well, thank you guys for joining us for this episode of World of Travel. We will see you back next time.
Peace.